You can put it on the board. Yes.
Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP.TV. Today's show is brought to you by UppercutChops.com. Check out their tasty selection of all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Angus and Wagyu steaks and chops. Wait till you see their best-in-class New York steaks, the filet mignons, and, of course, the king of all, which are the ribeye, those big cowboy cut and tomahawk ribeye steaks. Even the gourmet burgers, for the Angus or Wagyu burgers, are the best you've probably ever had. For more information, contact 702-799-9935, 702-799-9935. Check out the menu at UppercutChops.com or call 702-799-9935 for more information. Again, that's UppercutChops.com. All right, a big welcome in to everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast. Magic 97.9 FM right here in Las Vegas, as well as all of our Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Wow Cable affiliates, and Hotel Television. And we are joined by a very special guest. And returning back to the Sports Circus is the defender of freedom, Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
Yes. Hey, Sal. Happy to be back with you.
Yes. I don't know what else to call you except the defender of freedom, because you do everything.
I'm really surprised that you're still on the air after having me on the last time. Nobody else has survived the withering attacks that follow my appearances.
Well, that's okay. Look, you're going to be here on a more regular basis, and we'll get into that a little bit later. So you've been really busy since last time you were here. I remember you had just put a book out, The Real Anthony Fauci. What a phenomenal book. I read that a couple of times, and I have to tell you, I have been, after your appearance on the show, I have had so many requests. People, hey, could you get me an autographed copy? No. Contact Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and just get your own. Go to a book signing, wherever he's at. He's on tour everywhere.
Yeah, you can call or you can send an email to Children's Health Defense, and they'll figure out how to get you a signed copy or whatever they have to do.
Is it info at Children's Health Defense?
I think it's children'shealthdefense.org.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. All right. That's good stuff. Yeah. So many people have asked, how many copies are out there around the world now?
Well, it's sold today more than 1 million copies in all formats. So that means, I think about 500,000 or 600,000 hardcover. If you throw in ebooks and Kindle, it's over 1 million, well over 1 million now. It's kind of a phenomenon, Sal, because it's been completely blackballed and blacklisted by all the mainstream media. I mean, this is one of the few places, this and Tucker Show are among the few places that have been willing to talk about it. There hasn't been a single review of the book in any mainstream newspaper. That has never happened in history. The number one bestseller. It's been a bestseller for 22 weeks in a row. It's been in the top 10 for 20 weeks, in the top 10 in almost every list on the globe. And it's never happened that you have a book that's the top seller, the top global seller of the year thus far, that doesn't have a single review in any newspaper. We're not allowed to advertise. We tried to buy advertisements in the New York Times, and they said no. We're not allowed to advertise on social media. We're not allowed to advertise on most billboards. And so it's really through word of mouth. This book has sold in a way that nobody in the publishing industry has ever seen anything like this before.
Right. It's kind of like a great recipe.
It is both best-selling book of the year and the most censored book of the year.
And yet it hasn't been advertised at all. That's unbelievable. And look at it this way. At how many people across the globe in various languages? How about the number 2 widest spoken language in the world, in Spanish? Imagine how many copies you could sell if it was translated into Spanish. And how about maybe into other languages, other Eastern European or Asian languages? Imagine how many copies you could sell of the book if it was translated?
It is, we're translating it now. I don't think we yet have a Spanish edition. We have a French edition. We have a German edition. I think we're in the process of putting out a Hebrew edition, a Russian edition, and a Spanish edition for sure.
How about a Chinese edition? Will we see one of those?
I don't know.
I kind of like to see it. I think a lot of people over there that are sitting in Shanghai would like to see it too.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not sure. Oh, I don't know whether they'd let it sell over there. I don't know. It's a good idea, though, Sal. I'll mention it to the publisher.
I'd like to see it. Well, look, folks, this is a sports show, and we have a lot of sports content always built in. And so, look, taking the book as a basis, of course, from your accomplishments as a powerhouse attorney and an author. And when I said defender of freedom, it's for the children. We think about these athletes. How about the student athletes? Let's go to the kids here. I want to talk about the kids for a while. All right. So let's think about the idea with kids playing out on a field, but these schools, they have these mandates where the kids kind of have to comply. In fact, how about this one? How about the fact that in many schools, the school administrators are forcing the kids, or better yet, coercing the kids to take those shots without their parent or guardian authorization. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, here's a couple of thoughts. First of all, there's a lot of data that show that children have zero risk, statistically zero risk from COVID. In fact, ICANN, which is another group like ours that we work with and partner with, sued CDC, asking CDC to show evidence that a single child had died from COVID in this country. And CDC acknowledged it is not able to produce that evidence. And if you doubt what I say, you can go on CHD's website today, and you can go to the Defender tomorrow, which is our newsletter, and you can see citations to CDC's admission. Johns Hopkins, a professor at Johns Hopkins, did a study in which he looked at American children, and they were not unable to find a single American child, healthy American child, who died from COVID. The Germans have looked through their database and essentially found the same thing. All over the world, healthy children have zero risk. So why are we vaccinating healthy children? We know the vaccine has high risk for children. The Hong Kong study, which is an exhaustive study, shows that 1 in every 2,700 boys who take that vaccine will get myocarditis. Historically, half of the people who get myocarditis are dead or have heart transplants within 5 years. We are now seeing an explosion in myocarditis in American children. There's also neurological disorders. In Pfizer's study, one of the 1,100 children between 11 and 15 who got the vaccine in their study got debilitating neurological disorders. One of those children, Maddie DeGarry, is in a wheelchair for the rest of her life, eating from a feeding tube and in constant seizures. So that's 1 in 1,100 kids. And so the idea that we should be giving this vaccine to children, which is clearly causing more injury than COVID in that population, is really immoral. If you ask people, why are you doing this? They never say to protect the child. They always say it's to protect older people. But never in history has a moral society or the United States of America sacrificed children in order to spare older people, even if that was a good reason. And there is no evidence that children pass COVID, even if they get it, to older people. And the reason I say that is study after study has shown the way that children process COVID is very different than adults. When adults process it, they externalize it. They sneeze, they cough. Children internalize it. And the evidence that they actually spread it is zero.
It's amazing that the government would impose such risk to America's youth, or just youth around the world, never mind just America's youth, to the younger population here in our last 30 seconds of the segment. What really baffles me is why in the world would there be such acceptable risk, maybe myocarditis and all the other horrific things that can happen from the injection of these horrific shots that are not FDA approved? No, it's that whole emergency use authorization. We're going to get to that in the next segment. But the idea that so many people are put at risk and the kids are helpless because they have to do whatever their parents or guardians pretty much say, or even the school administrators as they try to concoct a reason for them. Maybe we'll give you a free cookie or some crap like that. Tell you what, folks, when we come back from break, we're going to dig a little bit deeper into this with the great Robert F. Kennedy Jr., best-selling author, defender of freedom, and maybe a special guest. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to come here on the Sports Circus. Back in a few.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happens. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
800-361-3491. 800-361-3491. 800-361-3491. Again, that's 800-361-3491.
AMP, the multi-format network, is here to help create, produce, distribute, and sell your content. For more information, send a message to info@aamp.tv. That's info@aamp.tv.
Are you a small business owner or pursuing the dream of starting your own company? Do you know where to start or how to grow that existing business? The American Business Trust Company has the answers you need. The American Business Trust Company can help you with startup capital, business strategy, sales and marketing, and establishing your company with a physical location or on the internet. You decide. You bring the idea. The American Business Trust Company can help with the rest. For a free evaluation, you may visit them online at abtrustco.com. That's ABTRUSTCO.com, or call them at 657-600-1876. That's the American Business Trust Company, 657-600-1876. Call them today. They can help your business right away.
Come on, you watch the news. Be prepared to pay more taxes. Then if you owe back taxes or haven't filed in a few years, get ready. The IRS, the largest collection agency in the world, will be coming after you with the power to collect taxes by any means they want to. Hey, they can freeze your bank account, your passport, even padlock your business. Oh, good times. Look, if the IRS claims you owe them $5,000 or more in back taxes and they're coming after you, don't panic. Call my friends at Get a Tax Lawyer first. Their job is to negotiate with the IRS and save you money. They're experts at it. That's all they do. And you can trust them. In some cases, they have reduced a $50,000 tax bill to less than $1,000. If you owe the IRS $5,000 or more in back taxes, call now for a free consultation.
800-908-7016. 800-908-7016. 800-908-7016. That's 800-908-7016.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Master Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP.TV. This segment brought to you in part by Legal Shield, providing legal protection and peace of mind. Legal Shield can help with traffic tickets, texting and driving, DUIs, court appearances. Maybe somebody gave you a shot and you got sick from it. Who knows? Maybe it was your kid. And guess what? You may need some legal help. Contact Legal Shield for more information. 213-245-1305. That's 213-245-1305. Or check them out at nocourt.us. That's www.nocourt.us. All right, a big welcome back to everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast. Magic 97.9 FM right here in Las Vegas. And, of course, Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Wild Cable affiliates, Hotel Television, and everybody else streaming on Facebook, Instagram, and who the hell else? No, AMP TV, AAMP.TV. Here with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and another very special surprise guest. In fact, let's turn the camera to him and let's introduce himself.
Hi, Kevin Sorbo here. How's everybody doing? And thank God we got somebody like Bobby fighting the good fight. We all need to join that team right now, guys.
Got that right. Look, the good news, by the way, folks, in case you've been living under a rock, Kevin's been in, 70-odd films, television, Hercules. Everybody knows him as Hercules, and plus a bunch of other characters. Kevin's been on the rodeo for quite some time. And guess what? Kevin, Bobby and I were talking about in the last segment, we were just leading into kids on the field, the children in schools, right? They're taking their shots. And with those shots, we know a lot of kids are not – they're basically being coerced into taking those shots. Mom and dad or the guardians are not even given authorization. First of all, I want your opinion on that. And second of all, what could be done about that?
Well, first of all, I got to give you a story that's near and dear to my heart. A friend of mine, his wife was 5 months pregnant. I begged them not to take the shots. She took the shots. A week later, her baby died. They did an autopsy on the baby, and the baby is filled with blood clots. So why they don't talk about this on the press is amazing to me. It is pathetic and sad. What we said during the break is so true. There is something going on here. It's about fear and control over our lives. And I see videos of professional athletes in Europe on the soccer field falling down dead. I see little kids basketball court in junior high school falling down, going through tremors. And I mean, it's unbelievable to me that they're forcing the thing on me on all of us that 2 shots, booster shot. Now they want another shot. And who's filling up the hospital? Those people have had all those shots and still wearing those stupid masks all the time. I mean, enough of this stuff, guys. We're sick of it, and people need to stand up. I'm not here to wake up the sheep. The sheep are always going to be sheep. I think Bobby here, and I'm here, and you're here. We're here to wake up the lions. We got to get this thing rocking and rolling. It's just done, and people got to say enough is enough, because we can't have another year of 15 days to slow the spread with something that has a 99.7% chance recovery, covering all ages and kids. Are you kidding me? Kids have the strongest immune system out there. This is just stupid what we're doing.
Al, there's a blogger, and he's an NYU professor called Mark Crispin Miller. He's one of the many sites that is inventorying this, tsunami of what Kevin was talking about athletes who have collapsed on the field. I think half of them have died. 799 athletes. And the thing is that these are the people you're seeing, because there's audiences, but there was no time in history when you saw athletes at this rate collapsing on the field. And now you can literally watch video for hour after hour after hour of separate instances of athletes collapsing on the field. This is something that never happened before. Australia, which has probably the most draconian rules of any country in the world other than China, and a complete blackout on media reports. But this week, there was a huge milestone that happened, which is the major sporting channel in Australia. You had a panel of 5 reporters who are on one of these sporting shows where you have a bunch of different, talking heads from different sports. We're all talking about sports. And one of them said, hey, we got to start talking about what's happening on the field. These athletes are dropping. We are not allowed to talk about it. And we have a responsibility to start saying it's happening. We can't say it's from the vaccines. we need to take notice that it is happening, and nothing like this has ever been seen before in history. If you go to the term sudden death or died suddenly, it has close to 4 billion hits on Google now since a year ago. Since the vaccine rollout, that has become a common trope on, where young people. COVID kills old people. If you are over 80 years old, your chance of dying of COVID is 1,000 times of somebody who's younger. But the vaccine is killing younger people. It's killing them from myocarditis. It's killing them from blood clots. It's killing them from, all of these other diseases, autoimmune disease, and all of these other diseases that we're now seeing reported to theirs. And the mainstream press is just pretending this is not happening. One of the things that I think would be a public service for you to do, Sal, and I'll come back on here when you do it, is to come on here and just show 3 or 4 minutes of these athletes collapsing on the field. It'll be the first time that has been shown on mainstream TV in our country, and people need to answer questions about this.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. And, so long as we get the legal release on it, right? So we'll have to summon your work. We'll have to bring you in to make sure that we don't cross any legal boundaries. And, Kevin, when we look at these athletes falling down, whether they are little kids or whether they're adults, whether they're in the U.S. or Europe or wherever, look, this is so consistent. We're seeing it on a regular basis where people are just starting to accept it now. There's something really wrong going on here.
Yeah, you know what? We need these videos that Bobby's talking about. They need to get out there. The civilized world, I believe, has seen a lot of these videos. So I think people are waking up by a lot now. We need to sit there and look. The parents that took the video that was there, the fans that took the videos are there. They need to get it out there because we need to fight back. The mainstream media is not showing. Social media, it's the Wild West, the internet. But there's some good things about it too, where we can expose the evil and the lies that the mainstream media is putting out there. And I don't know why people aren't doing it more and more, but I'm certainly aware that more people know that's what's going on than what we think. I think they just need to get past fear and not be afraid. Who cares if you get canceled? Facebook took me down for post. Look, everything they're calling me a conspiracy theorist. I posted on Twitter the other day, hey, anybody got any conspiracy theories? Because mine keep coming true. We need to sit there and not be afraid to get shut down. Don't be afraid to lose your so-called friends by getting out there and speaking the truth. I mean, enough is enough. Let's fight this thing.
You know what? The way that the mainstream media and the public regulatory agencies, the public health agencies like CDC are handling this problem. This is a PR problem for them, that young people are dying. Young people are getting injured. The way that they're handling it is by trying to normalize these injuries, trying to say CDC is taking ads out and sending their talking heads out to tell people that strokes are normal in 6-year-old kids, that heart attacks are normal in 6-year-old kids. In Australia and other countries now, they're equipping elementary and high schools with defibrillators. So, and they're pretending like this is something that's normal, that's acceptable. CDC, Brown University just published a study that showed American children, young children, lost 22 IQ points during the pandemic. This isn't me saying this. Anybody can go on Google and look up this study. It's a high-level, published, peer-reviewed study by Brown University. 22 IQ points gone from that generation of kids. You know how CDC is handling this? A month ago, CDC changed the childhood milestones so that for the last 40 years, the childhood milestones, official childhood milestones, that children should be able to walk at 12 months. CDC changed that just now to say they shouldn't have to walk till they're 18 months.
Wow.
The children were supposed to have 50 words by 18 months. CDC changed that to say 2 years. Oh, what they're doing is they're normalizing this cascade of injuries and trying to hypnotize us and delude us into thinking children are normally having heart attacks and strokes and are lower IQ.
Guys, the crazy thing here in our last minute of the segment, the crazy thing here is that they being the media was pushing the idea of what 2 years ago, the new normal. Is this the new normal that they're talking about, Kevin? Is this the new normal that people are going to start dropping off? Take 30 seconds, talk about that, then let's go to break.
Well, Bobby just said it. They're trying to make this be like this is the new normal, that it's okay for kids not to be able to say the words that they used to say to 18 months, now 2 years. And they're going to keep saying that stuff. Look, they're rewriting history already. They're tearing down statues. Like every country other than America has had perfect history. Every country has good and bad history. And we're sitting there and changing all the rules and all the laws right now just to fit their own narrative. And that's what's going on. And, it's unfortunate, but I think we got to keep fighting this out. Like I said, we can't give up.
Well, it takes a movement. And I tell you what, when we come back from break, I want to talk a little bit about a movement. But at the end of the day, folks, people are dropping off everywhere. How about when we come back, we talk a little bit about that tennis tournament that was going on in Miami, where 15 of the players couldn't even finish. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, they took that shot. Anyway, folks, back here in just a few minutes with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And let's see if Kevin Sorbo can stick around with us for another segment. Are you good for it?
We'll see. We'll talk during the break.
All right, guys, back here in a few minutes. Don't go anywhere, folks.
Attention business owners, you and your customers are listening to this commercial right now. Face it, every business needs customers, even yours. The Sports Circus is a primetime nationally syndicated program that's carried on ABC, NBC, CNBC, and Westwood One News affiliates, plus CBS, Fox, and NBC sports affiliates across North America, with coverage from Hawaii to New York. Also, the Sports Circus is available to the 180 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, and the Sports Circus gets about 4 million website visitors per month, which could click through your website and bring sales. The Sports Circus provides great content featuring celebrity guests from sports and entertainment to our audience every weekday, which your company could greatly benefit from by increasing your visibility, foot traffic, eyeballs to your website, and calls from potential customers. Call us right now at 702-799-9935. Again, 702-799-9935, or email us at info@thesportscircus.com. That's info@thesportscircus.com. Drive your sales today by advertising with the Sports Circus.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
800-361-3491. 800-361-3491. 800-361-3491. Again, that's 800-361-3491.
So, you want to be in show business. Do people tell you that you're really funny, you have a great personality, and you should have your own talk show? Many of us have been told that, but we don't know how to get started. It's easier than you think. Let the pros at Cali Vegas give you a free talent evaluation. Call 949-445-1119 and learn how quickly you can create, produce, and host your very own talk show. Imagine not having to sit in traffic every day, commuting back and forth to the same old boring job. Get started in television or radio today with your free talent evaluation from Cali Vegas. Call 949-445-1119 or visit them online at calivegas.com. Make your dream come true today and create your new career and learn how to become a television or radio star with the help of Cali Vegas. 949-445-1119. Call now.
Hey everybody, this is Barry Katz from the Industry Standard Podcast, and you're listening to the Sports Circus with Sal Tuzzolino.
Hey, it's Kevin Sorbo here on Sports Show, and I'm looking forward to having you guys all follow me on sorbostudios.com, sorbostudios.com. 4 new movies coming out this year, guys. 4 movies. One of them's a documentary that you'll love. So I hope you guys follow and sign up, and we'll keep you up to date with things coming down the road. Sal, it's all yours.
All right. Kevin Sorbo, been in a whole mess of films. I don't know, 70, 80 films, something like that. We're here with Kevin Sorbo and, of course, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. There was that incident in Miami. I have to bring this up because this was out there, but it wasn't out there. So, Robert, I want you to give your take on the idea of, imagine 15 players in Miami playing a tennis tournament that couldn't finish the tournament. And they all had one thing in common as it was reported. What do you think that might be?
Well, the question is, I think a lot of people are assuming that these were, because this has been happening again and again with not only tennis players, but people in all these professional sports, amateur sports, high school sports, collapsing on the field, largely because of myocarditis. And people who are performing at a high level, it stresses their system and it drives these clots into parts of their body that end up in collapse. And so you're seeing a lot of these athletes who are getting breathing problems and feeling heart problems. And we've seen it throughout tennis, but this was a very unusual event in Miami where there were, at this particular event, there were 14 or 15 players who could not complete the event. Of course, all of them were required to get vaccinated prior to the event.
Okay, so I have to say this. First of all,
let me just say this. You cannot say their injuries occurred because of the vaccine, but it's something that we should be able to have open discussion and open inquiry about. Let me give you an example of 2 things that happened. Colin Powell died, and he had numerous comorbidities, but his death was called a COVID death. He died from COVID, even though it was very unclear whether he died because of the comorbidities or because of COVID. When Hank Aaron died, Hank Aaron, 17 days before he died, did a press conference because the CDC was very worried, and they strategized this long before, and African Americans would not take the vaccine because there's this long history from the Tuskegee experiment and many, many other similar experiments that there's a mistrust by African Americans of the medical establishment, the medical cartel. So there was a very, very powerful, energetic effort from the beginning of the vaccine enterprise to get high-profile Blacks to take the vaccine in public. So Hank Aaron did a press conference at Emory University near the CDC campus, took the vaccine publicly, declared it's safe to all Black Americans, invited them to get vaccinated. 17 days later, he dropped dead. I wrote an article saying Hank Aaron's death was part of a wave, a cascade of deaths that have occurred among elderly people immediately after the vaccine. I didn't say his death was from the vaccine because you can't say that. You have to do an autopsy. That might not even, there's no real fingerprint for a lot of vaccine injuries. So you don't know whether he would have had that heart attack anyway or whether it was caused by the vaccine. So you can't say definitively, and I didn't. What I said was factual, that there was an unusual number of elderly people who were dying immediately after vaccination. I got hammered by every newspaper in the country, and the New York Times did an article saying Kennedy lied when he said that Hank Aaron's death may have resulted from the vaccine. The Fulton County coroner has declared that he died of natural causes, and that his death was unrelated to vaccination, quote unquote. I called up the Fulton County coroner because I was wondering, how did they make that determination? There is no way to make that determination medically. I called him up. I got the coroner on the phone after a lot of effort. And the coroner said to me, we never saw Hank Aaron's body. And there was no autopsy. There was no postmortem. The family buried the body. So the New York Times, I wrote the Times and I said, this is not true. They refused to print an errata or retraction. So this is where we are today, that you have major newspapers. It wasn't just the Time, it was CNN, USA Today, ABC, NBC, CBS. They all said the same thing. And they were wrong. It was a lie, but they refused to admit it. And that's where we are in our country, where this orthodoxy is being protected by deceit.
You know, this is
like, how do you
like a crime scene out of a movie where the police are putting up the yellow tape around the crime scene and saying, people go home, nothing to see here, everything's fine. You know,
yeah.
We're supposed to just accept that at face value. Okay, Bobby's right. At least consider it and look at it, because the coincidences over and over again, you got to make your own decision here, folks, but you got to be scratching your head at the same time and going, all right, something weird is going on here. Why are we not addressing it?
You know, what I don't understand is how people could be so blinded by what all these channels are telling people. Is it that the American public is lazy and they don't want to read, they don't want to research, they just want to trust their nightly news personalities, and that's it? Kevin, what do you think?
Well, I think the biggest destruction in America right now, let alone the world, is apathy. I think apathy is, it's just, people look at it and go, oh, what can we do about it? You know, I mean, I'm just one person. Well, we need one person times a billion to stand up and say enough is enough, because all this proof out there is so overwhelming. At least look at it, but they don't want to look at it. Look, they're so deep into this now. They don't want to admit they're wrong. They're slowly right now. Like I said, I got taken on Facebook over 14 months ago, and the stuff I was saying is now becoming true. Johns Hopkins University came out, and I'm sure Bobby's aware of this, came out like it's about 2 months ago with a study they had done saying that with all the shots and all the mask wearing and all the shutdowns and all that stuff, that they estimate 0.02% of lives have been saved. That's not coming from me. That's coming from Johns Hopkins University.
And yesterday, there was the biggest study ever on lockdowns was released. And it compared the records of states that had strong lockdowns, like California, to states that did not, like Florida. And what they found is consistently, the stronger the lockdown rules, the worse off the people of that state did, not just with COVID, but with all these other issues. So that lockdowns were actually counterproductive for public health. And the stronger your lockdown, California, New York, and Illinois were the worst. Florida was one of the best.
Yeah.
And, Montana and some of the other, who had more laissez-faire approach to COVID, they did much, much better in protecting public health.
Well, apparently, the thing that got me taken down on Facebook, the final straw after all the warnings, I said, it's amazing. 40 to 50,000 people are dying from the flu every year. But this year they reported less than 500. So apparently COVID has cured the flu. And that was enough to piss them off and take me down. And it's over and over again. The hypocrisy is just amazing to me. You looked at the 20th anniversary of 9/11 and all the politicians started wearing masks. The minute they stopped the cameras, people around there still kept their iPhones going, and the mask came off right away. You go to the Super Bowl in LA, 90,000 people shoulder to shoulder. No one's wearing masks, but no, you got to wear a mask here. And all the airplanes, every CEO of all the major airlines wrote a letter to President Biden and said, hey, enough of these mask wearing in airports and airplanes. We got the cleanest air around in the planes. And yet what do they do today? They extended another 15 days. This is all about control. And it's just so pathetic and stupid. I get tired of, get it above your nose, get it above your nose. It's doing nothing. All you're doing is sucking in your own air over and over again.
Right. And the worst part about it, guys, is that they say you can't spread disinformation. Now it's a felony or something to the effect. I don't know. In our last minute of the segment here. Right. You get arrested. What about the CDC? How come the CDC hasn't had their people arrested? What's going on with that, Mr. Kennedy?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, the way that Facebook defines misinformation is not the conventional way, which would be something that's factually incorrect. The way that they define misinformation as a euphemism for any statement that departs from official government pronouncements. So it has nothing to do whether it's right or wrong. If you have a bad opinion, if you're having dangerous thoughts, you are thrown off, even if everything you say is absolutely true. I got thrown off of Instagram at 800,000 followers. Instagram and Facebook have not been able to identify a single erroneous statement that I ever made. Every statement that I put in was cited and sourced to peer-reviewed publications or to official databases.
Right. All right. Hey, guys, I know we're coming up on the segment. I know you both have to run, but Kevin Sorbo, thanks for joining us today here on the Sports Circus. Always welcome back anytime.
What's that, Bobby?
I said, really good to see you again.
It's good to see you again, sir. It's been such a long time. So I hope we get to run each other down the road again.
Yeah, we have
to be right here on the circus.
Come on down to Florida. I'm down in West Palm Beach.
I'll look you up.
All right.
All right, Mr. Kennedy. Robert F. Kennedy, thanks for joining us. Listen, all I can say is get out, find that book. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., The Real Anthony Fauci. Find that book. Kevin Sorbo got a bunch of films out there. Make sure you stay tuned because guess what? We're going to have him back, and he's going to talk about those films as well. Back here in a few minutes on the circus. Lots more to come. Don't go anywhere.
Hey there, it's Nick Mackay. You may know me as the voice of Salem Saberhagen, the talking cat from Sabrina the Teenage Witch. You're listening to the Sports Circus. I'm on a calliope. Get me out of here. I'm scared.
You don't sit behind a desk every day to earn a living. You're out and about making it happen. And sometimes you get a little bit behind on your paperwork, like bookkeeping and paying your taxes. It's easy to get behind on paying your taxes. It happens to the best of us. And you know what happens next. The big, bad IRS comes knocking on your door. And when that happens, you need to call the good old boys at the Tax Doctor. Let them do what they do best. Deal and negotiate with the IRS so you pay the lowest you can in back taxes that the law allows. We are a 100% U.S.-based company, and we've saved our clients millions over the years in back taxes. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, call my friends right now at the Tax Doctor and learn more.
800-989-1694. 800-989-1694. 800-989-1694. That's 800-989-1694.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
800-361-3491. 800-361-3491. 800-361-3491. Again, that's 800-361-3491.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UpperCutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UpperCutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UpperCutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average and best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UpperCutChops.com or call 702-799-9935. That's 702-799-9935. 702-799-9935. Or make your selection directly at UpperCutChops.com.
Hey, this is Tommy John, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, WAMP.TV. This segment brought to you in part by the College of Southern Nevada Athletics at CSNCoyotes.com for upcoming games and events, especially those baseball games and women's softball games. Boy, that's a lot of fun down there at the Henderson campus. College of Southern Nevada Athletics, CSNCoyotes.com for your tickets for all of their events. All right, and a big welcome back to everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast, including our friends over in Honolulu on CBS Sports 1500 KHKA. That's home of the Yankees, home of the 49ers, and home of the Alabama Crimson Tide. Big welcome back to everybody over in Los Angeles listening in, whether you're on those NBC affiliates or independents or whatnot. Thanks for joining us right here in Las Vegas, Magic 97.9 FM, as well as 107.1 The River over in Faraday, Louisiana, and Natchez, Mississippi, and WAUD, home of the world champion Atlanta Braves. And, of course, in Atlanta, thanks for joining us on 99.1 FM and Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Wild Cable affiliates, as well as Hotel Television. It's been a really good show so far, folks. In case you're just tuning in, you'll have to go back to the recorded shows, which you can find them at thesportscircus.com. Just click on any of the logos where it says podcast. There is, we have Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, whatever. They're all there. Nonetheless, you can go back, click on today's show, and listen to the first few segments with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and superstar from film and television, Kevin Sorbo. How do you like that? Blockbuster show for the Sports Circus, and it just kind of came together at the last minute, which is probably the best part about it. But, we didn't get a chance to ask these guys a little bit more about the double standard that exists for children. And I know Robert F. Kennedy Jr. talked a little bit about this in a previous discussion, which I happened to get a clip of, and it was the idea that, yes, there are these emergency use authorizations for those shots from those companies. And he had alluded to the fact that they have immunity, those companies do. They have immunity from legal if they remain as an emergency use authorization. Once they're authorized, once they're actually approved by the FDA, then there is the possibility of liability. However, there was the outlier, the exception to the rule. And this is what Robert had said in a previous dialogue that I heard. I'm just paraphrasing here. And it was as if it's important for kids, if it becomes important for kids, right? Think about those kids running around the playground, just playing sports, whatever. But if it's important for kids and it's deemed important by the government for kids and deemed necessary for kids, whether it is approved or not approved, then the pharma companies actually have immunity from the lawsuits themselves on top of it. And that itself is a dumpster fire, because what it does is it is basically a get around on the legal side for all of those big companies. Let's say they get approved someday, whatever. I can't imagine how they could with all the deaths and whatnot tied to them, because typically if there was one death, then these things wouldn't be approved in the first place. Nonetheless, let's just say they are approved. But guess what? The kids are deemed as needing them. So all of those companies now don't have the liability, and that's somewhere in the legal mumbo jumbo. I'm not sure what it is. Next time RFK Jr. comes onto the show, we're going to ask him a little bit more about that, because he is a powerhouse attorney on top of a best-selling author and a defender of freedom on top of it. So there are some questions that haven't been answered there. But what really scares me is that a lot of these alleged side effects, I can't even say alleged, because I think one of those big companies put out a list of 4 or 10 or 11 pages of these side effects. And what about them harming all of the people on top of it the kids. It's not whether you're going to die from taking this thing. It's those side effects, right? So like he had said in the last segment, it was about, look, you can't say that you died from taking one of those shots. But they say, oh, natural causes and autopsies are not being done. So it doesn't, let's put it this way. The government apparently, in my opinion, doesn't want it to get out to the public that these things are causing a ton of illness in unsuspecting shot takers, especially the kids that don't even have a choice, right? And we didn't even cover the idea that, geez, what about those kids that are saying, okay, you can give me that shot and I'll take a cookie or something like that, or a free pie or whatever the hell it is that they give to the kids. They coerce them into doing things. It's awful. And you think about the idea that they're indoctrinating them into that idea and the CRT on top of it, which is a whole nother discussion that we can't even get into right now. But I'm concerned about the generation below mine and the generation below them. What's going to happen? What's going to happen to all those kids? Are they going to, be able to reproduce? First of all, are they going to live? Are they going to be able to reproduce? We don't even know that because there's so little data out there. And it's amazing that those companies wanted a 55-year window or something like this to get the data out there in the first place. And of course, by that time, most of the people would be dead that'd be able to make any kind of a determination on this in the first place. So nonetheless, the whole thing is a gigantic, big smokescreen. And, you think about what Kevin Sorbo was saying about all the people, 90,000 people at the Super Bowl in Los Angeles, shoulder to shoulder without wearing the face diaper, that kind of thing. Well, with all those people sitting in a stadium or standing in a stadium, whatever you're doing, the fact is, if there ever was a breeding ground for such a thing, if it actually existed, well, that probably or could have been the actual spot for it, because you had a nice control setting in a hyper blue state that would, of course, eyeball it. Yet they may eyeball it, but what they didn't do is, because of all the people there, they didn't force them to wear the face diaper, right? And on top of it, what about the players? The players breathing in that closed environment in a dome. Don't you think if this thing was legit in the first place, this alleged SARS-CoV-2 thing, whatever, there's all kinds of crazy rumors about it. But anyway, even snake venom, that's the latest one that I've heard. But nonetheless, don't you think if there ever was an air problem, a breathing problem, whatever, just like they said on the airplane, like what Kevin Sorbo had said about put the thing over your nose and mouth, whatever, right? You're breathing in your own exhaust. Don't you think that would have been the place where, I don't know, 10, 20, 30,000 people would have got sick just like that? I don't know. I'm in that rodeo, but it sure begs the question that if that were the case, if this was a legit thing, don't you believe that this would have been the breeding ground, the prime breeding ground for it? What about shopping malls? I don't know. But you think about everything that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. had said and what Kevin said. And look, Kevin Sorbo is a very smart guy, very, very smart guy. And so the one thing I don't realize, or a lot of people don't realize nonetheless, is when you take a guy that is really got his head screwed on right, this guy knows. And look, he moved to Florida from California because of a lot of stuff, let's put it that way, that goes on in that business, in that environment, in that town, whatever. Plus, it's probably a little bit better over there in Florida. My point is, you have more freedoms. And you had freedom in California up until, 2020 thereabouts. And then things drastically changed. I wonder why that was. I don't know. I'm not a politician, nor do I play one on TV. But I can tell you that the environment in California, this is Las Vegas, California, where we're at right now. There are scores and scores and scores of tourists here. In fact, I would argue that 85 to 90% of our tourism comes from California. And what do they do when the tourists come here? They like it so much because it's more free. They start buying houses here, start driving our economy out of its mind. And then when the wheels come off, what do? They abandon the houses here in California, or here in Las Vegas, California, and they go back to California and go do it in their own market. But they come and go and essentially wreck our local economy. And so, yes, we like the California visitors to come here to Las Vegas, but we would really like them to come here, play a little bit, have a little bit of fun, leave their money, show me the money, and then go home. I think that's a very safe thing to say. Most people won't say that on television or on the radio, but I will tell you, as a Las Vegas resident, a longtime Las Vegas resident, first moved here in 1990. So I've seen what has happened to this city. And especially as we look at it from a sports standpoint. We had Carolyn Goodman on, the mayor of Las Vegas, recently, and we talked about sports expansion. And she had said, the Oakland A's, I don't necessarily know if they're going to come here, but there's some talk about an expansion baseball team. Now, Major League Baseball hasn't expanded for a very long time, and you could see a Major League Baseball team, a new one, here in Las Vegas, because, let's face it, the Vegas Golden Knights, our hockey team, the Vegas Golden Knights have done wonderfully with what? The local audience, because they are Vegas born. They are a homegrown team. Now, a company had come in, and I forget the name of the company, but they'd come in over my shoulder, we'll say probably a few miles, well, actually probably about 5 miles back that way, which is south going down Las Vegas Boulevard. Everybody on TV can see that. There is a plan for a 25-acre property to be developed with a basketball stadium. Yep. And a hotel and casino. Now, that same kind of plan, if you think back to something called the All Net Arena, and it would actually be a little bit down the road this way. I'm pointing on the camera towards the Sahara Hotel and Casino, which is just a couple of blocks in front of me here, actually that direction. Everybody can see I'm pointing. Nonetheless, so the All Net Arena was supposed to be the new basketball arena with hotel rooms, et cetera, built in, right? But apparently that has kind of come to a standstill. Now, a little bit over to, we'll just say about a block or two this direction, right behind the Wynn Hotel, which I'm right next to the Wynn. Right behind the Wynn or the Encore Hotel, there's a gigantic Epcot Center looking ball that's being built, and it's about 2/3 done. So if you've been to Orlando, Florida, Disney World, you've seen that Epcot Center. Well, guess what? We've got one here in Vegas. It'll be done probably within the next year. They'll have concerts there, probably sporting events and whatnot. I don't think they're going to play basketball there because I just think from the sheer size of it, I don't think it's going to work. But in this ball, from what I understand, I've seen the renderings of it, there will be seating as you go up into the bowl. I don't know how high up, probably just halfway to the bowl. But it's going to be a pretty cool environment, a pretty cool stadium. That's a Madison Square Garden project. So Madison Square Garden is working with that project right behind the Encore Hotel, just the east of Las Vegas Boulevard, which is actually we're on that side of the street right here. But at the end of the day, a lot of things happen here. But I wonder if the local teams, just like with the fans, with the local teams over in Allegiant Stadium, right over my shoulder here, actually it's over this shoulder, those guys where the Raiders play, they require you to take a shot to walk in, but a couple of blocks closer at the T-Mobile Arena, you don't have to take a shot or nothing. So it's kind of a weird situation between stadiums, and I wonder what's going to happen there. Let's ask Robert F. Kennedy Jr. about that when he comes back on the show. And a big thanks to him and to Kevin Sorbo, the great Kevin Sorbo, for joining us today here on The Circus. And we will see you next time in about 23 hours right here on your favorite station. Until then, so long, everyone.
Are you a small business owner or pursuing the dream of starting your own company? Do you know where to start or how to grow that existing business? The American Business Trust Company has the answers you need. The American Business Trust Company can help you start up with capital, business strategy, sales, and marketing, and establish your company with a physical location or an online presence on the internet. You decide. You bring the idea. Then American Business Trust can help with the rest. For a free evaluation, visit them online at abtrustco.com. That's abtrustco.com. Or call them at 657-600-1876. That's American Business Trust Company. 657-600-1876. Call them today. They'll help your business right away. That's American Business Trust Company. Online at abtrustco.com. American Business Trust Company.